for agreeing to meet us.
Yes.
My pleasure. It's great to be with you.
Okay, so without further ado,
Let's get started.
So what's your educational background?
Wow, my educational background. So I was born in Jamaica. Have you ever heard of Jamaica?
I think it's in South America somewhere.
Okay, so it's south, you're right. And it is, it's a place where I was born and I spent most of my early childhood there. So I went to school there. I went to elementary school and secondary school there before I came to Canada. And I finished 1 year of high school. At a time, there was such a thing called grade 13 in Ontario. You're too young to know that, but there used to be grade 13. So there used to be one more year of high school than you have now. And so I finished that in Toronto. And then I went to university. I took business, accounting, and finance at Ryerson University. And then I went back to school again because I love school so much. And I became a teacher. So I actually worked in accounting and finance for a while in banking. And then I went back to school to York University, became a teacher, got a degree in education. And then I went back to York again and got another master's degree in education, master's in education as well. So that's my educational background.
That sounds like a really long journey.
It was a journey, absolutely, because I started working and then I, didn't feel fulfilled and went back to school. And so from the time I started to the time I finished was probably a good 10 years.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. That's how old I am.
That's a lot.
Yes.
I don't think many people would be able to do that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If you love learning, then it's not as hard as it seems. Because I love learning. So going to school was something that really gave me a lot of joy. And so I didn't mind at all.
Wow.
Nice.
How did you become the director of HDSB?
Wow, that's such a big question. How did I become the director of the Halton District School Board? So, as I said to you, I went back to school and became a teacher. So that was my first role in education, right? So to become a director, you first have to be a teacher. And then after a while, I was given a lot of encouragement and mentorship to become a vice principal. And I became a vice principal in a middle school. And after a while, I was given a lot of encouragement and mentorship, and I became a principal. And I became a principal in 2 elementary schools. And after a while, I was given lots of support and mentorship and experience to become a superintendent. And a superintendent is someone who looks after many schools. So, a principal is in charge of one school. A superintendent is in charge of sometimes 10 to 20, 25 schools. And so I became a superintendent. And then after becoming a superintendent, the board I was with before, there were different roles. So I became an executive superintendent, which is another level, meaning I supervised superintendents. And then I became an I became an associate director. So every board has a director and an associate director. So I am a director now, but before becoming a director, I was an associate director, almost like a vice principal and a principal. And then the Halton District School Board had a vacancy for the directorship. And when I read the ad, I thought that would be a great job for me and a perfect fit. And I applied and I won the position.
Wow. I need to apply. Yes. Well, actually, I believe the district board you used to work with was HDSB.
Correct.
Yeah, Toronto District School Board. And also, when we were reading up about you, we said, "Oh, this is the perfect job for me." That's what it said, like when we read up about you.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
No, absolutely. I mean, I just thought, the the sort of the leadership that was required, the calmness that was required, someone who was a great listener, who communicated well, who understood the values of equity and inclusion, who would, focus on learning and achievement and outcome. I thought that sounded a lot like me, and so that's why I applied.
Nice. This is great though. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so next question. You have the honor to be the first director of first flag director of HDSB. How do you feel?
I feel great. I think it's an honor to be the first Black director of the Halton District School Board. I do realize that we serve a diversity of students, a wide diversity of students, right? Students from all backgrounds, all religions, and so I embrace that as a leader. And so, for me as a Black man leading the board, it just gives me, great joy, because I understand what it means to be included, to feel included, and to feel like you belong. And so I want to create the conditions within our board. And let's be factual. The Halton District School Board already have some great things in place in terms of honoring, diversity and equity and inclusion. And so, but I bring a perspective as a lived experience of knowing how to belong to a particular group of people, how to belong to a community, and so I want every student and our families to feel like they belong, and so I bring that lived experience to the role.
That's a good goal.
That's great. No matter what you do,
or where
if you keep on trying, and no matter where you're from, you can get anywhere.
Absolutely, with the right supports and the right, mentorship and guidance, I believe that that's our goal, Arjun. That's our goal, to make sure that we can, no matter where our students start, that we can get them, to have great outcomes, right? And to fulfill their potential with the right supports that we're going to provide, creating the right conditions where they feel that they belong, that they can succeed, that they can do anything.
I need to applause again.
He appreciates you a lot.
Yes, I very much do.
Oh, thank you.
So when you got this job, how did people support and oppose you?
Please repeat that for me.
So when you became the director of HDSB, how did people support or oppose you?
Oh, I've received a lot of support since I've received this job. I have, from day one, the former director, Mr. Miller, who I know you interviewed as well. I know he was great in just helping me, to guide me, to give me a lot of background on the board and all of the things that the senior team was involved with, to make sure that I was up to speed on everything that was going on. So it was a great transition from the very moment that even before I started officially, he was supporting me. And the senior team has just been tremendous. Everywhere that I've gone, I have received a very warm welcome. I don't know if you see my work on Twitter. I go to different schools and different communities, and it's been a warm welcome right across Halton. So all of the various regions, I've tried to go out and get to know the community as much as possible. And so I have not received any opposition, Annika. It's just been a warm welcome so far, and I'm very happy about that.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it must be really nice to have all those people supporting you. It must feel great.
Oh, it feels great. And one thing I failed to mention that I should absolutely mention, and this is critical, is that the Board of Trustees who make the decisions for the board, they're the ones who made the decision to bring me over. And they have been super supportive of my leadership. And so I've just been incredibly, incredibly blessed to have their support. And we're working together to make sure that our board can become the very best that it can be.
Great. Good job.
Thank you.
What's your question?
Question 5, Annika.
I already asked that.
Oh, you did? Oh my God, sorry.
That's okay.
What difference do you see between TDSB and HDSB?
So the biggest difference that I see is that the TDSB is such a much bigger board than the HDSB, right? So it's larger. It has many more students. So I would say that the Halton District School Board is about a quarter of the size of the Toronto District School Board. So if you imagine, right, the Halton District School Board times four, that would what the Toronto District School Board would be. And so I think that being so large, it is far more complex in many ways. But so the good news is that the Halton District School Board, being a smaller board, there's a greater opportunity for connectedness, for people to feel like a family, for you to feel like you know people in the board, you know each other, and you support each other. It's a much more it's much more conducive, or the word is it's easier to get to feel connected and feel like you belong in a smaller setting than in a larger setting where you can get lost.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense because you can pay attention to each student better now, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right. So think of it as if you're in a smaller school, you feel like you are you get more attention. Where if you're in a larger school, sometimes you can feel like you're lost in a sea of other students, right? If you're amongst thousands of students.
Yeah.
It must be really busy, like at TDSB then.
It is extremely busy, but all of the senior roles, whether you're in the TDSB or in the HDSB, they're all busy because we are providing leadership to thousands and thousands of students, right? In the Halton District School Board, it's over 66,000 students. So, even though it's smaller, it's still large enough, right, to keep us busy. So, but I have a great team that works with me. I have an associate director, and I have the senior team, the superintendents. Remember, I talked to you about being a superintendent. And so I have superintendents who support the work as well in the field, because I certainly couldn't do it all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're better off in a group than alone when it's something so big.
Absolutely.
My friends are always there to back me up. Yeah.
It's always good to have backup.
Yeah.
Bit of a smaller scale, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, next question. What do you think that you can bring from TDSB and use that to help HDSB even more?
Thank you for the question. So one of the things that I've always been working on in TDSB was around equity and inclusion, right? So it's making sure that we value each and every student, making sure, regardless of race, gender, sexuality, religion, like students feel like they're a part of the board and that they belong. So I've been doing that work for a long time in the TDSB, and that's something that I bring to the HDSB. And we have a great equity team here in the HDSB. I've met with them all, and we have a great superintendent, Mr. Robbie Toff, who's in charge of that. And I work with all of them, right? We have a great equity advisor in Dr. Amwa. So we do work together, but I bring particular experience, a long, years of experience that I bring to support that work here, because I think that's critical to make sure that every single student feels like they belong in the board.
Feels welcome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also, another thing my friend told me was to never judge a book by its cover, because you actually don't know how good a book can be. But also, this is like meant to be people. Like if you look at someone and look at their race, background, and stuff, it's like, this guy can't do much. But you actually really never know how much better they can be. Like there's this movie called Hidden Figures, and it's about three black women, and how a lot of people doubted them, but they managed to help with an astronaut landing on the moon, right?
No, absolutely. That's such a great point, because at the time, to think that Black women were great at mathematics and figuring all these complex calculations to land, the first, astronauts on the moon, Most people never thought about that we made such contributions. But your point is well taken. Black people in general have made great contributions to the world as we know it today. But the title of that movie, I think, is very much appropriate. It's hidden, and not a lot of people know it. And so we should always get to know people, right? Not just judge people, but get to know them. And then once you get to know them, I think you often find that we share a lot more in common than you think.
Great point.
So, what's your favorite part of your job?
You know what? The favorite part of my job is actually going to visit schools. I love getting out to see schools. So I've been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to go to a lot of schools so far. Not as many. I don't think I've been to your school yet, but I will be coming to your school one of these days. And I go to all the classes and see all the great learning that's happening, all the great supports and inclusion that's taking place in the school. And so I absolutely love that part of seeing exactly all the work that we do at the board office, to see it on the ground in the schools and how it's making a difference for students. That part of my job, I could do that all day long.
Oh,
Yeah.
sounds fun.
Yeah, visiting schools. And wait, what do you do when you visit the schools? Do you just look how the students are doing to see what they're doing, what they're up to?
I do. Yeah. So, I engage with the students. You'd be surprised. They ask me a lot of questions, and I try to answer all their questions, and I engage with them in that type of way. And I also, talk to the principal, get a sense of the community, understand all of the things that make the school unique, talk about the strengths of the school, what are the things they're working on, and go around, meet all the teachers, and I see what great learning is taking place. And as I go from school to school, I see a lot of great learning taking place in the schools in the Halton District School Board. So that makes me happy.
You know what? We actually have a new principal this year. I think he'd appreciate it if you would come around.
Absolutely. And your school is Pilgrim
Wood.
Yeah.
Pilgrim Wood, it's called?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Pilgrim Wood.
Okay, Pilgrim Wood. I'll keep that in mind.
Okay.
So,
what are some challenges you have faced at work?
Challenges. I mean, you know what? We're always challenged to make sure that we're getting better at making sure that everyone is going to experience the joys and successes that some students enjoy. Right? Not every student. So students with special needs. Right? Students, Black students. Indigenous students. Right? We need to make sure that everyone is enjoying the successes that we celebrate. And so that's a huge challenge. And so that's something that I think we are committed to. And as part of our 5 commitments that we have in the board, those are some of the things that we've said we want to pay attention to, and we want to make sure that every single student, from Indigenous students, Black students, students with special education needs, like they're all enjoying the successes that some students enjoy.
That's great. It's basically saying that if you have a disorder, for example, and there's wheelchair basketball, right? So now, if you have a disorder or you've broken something, you can do wheelchair basketball, for example.
You
if
can
you really
include
like
everyone.
a sport, you can include everyone, which is really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the way that we're moving as a society, and I think it's a good thing, right? To make sure that we are being as inclusive as possible to every single person, right? Valuing everyone, that everyone has dignity and they have value and they have worth, and making sure that they are included. And so it starts with you guys. Sometimes the older folks are not as inclusive, but the younger folks, I think you guys are getting it, and I think that gives me lots of hope for the future, because I think you are getting it more than some people my age.
Thank you.
Yeah, some people aren't as open-minded to
Yeah.
others. Oh yeah. So, what are some changes you plan to make to the school board?
I mean, at this time, I am in the process of listening and learning and observing. And, it's the plans that I have are really laid out nicely in the 5 commitments that we have in the board, right? And so we have our commitment to mental health and well-being, to student learning and achievement, to equity and inclusion, to environmental impacts and sustainability, to indigenous awareness and perspectives. So all of those things are things that I want to continue to work on, to take action on with the senior team and all of our leaders in our system to make a difference, right? So my plans are the board's plans, right? I didn't come with a set of plans that say, I want to do this, and because it's not about me. It's about all of us working together as a team to make sure that we have what we call, and this may be sort of big words for you, multi-year strategic plan, right? It's something that we look at over many years, and it's long term. So there is a plan in place already. I just have to be the one to make sure that we stay on course, and that we are focused on taking action on all of those areas.
Okay.
Alone, you may not be able to do much, but with a team and support, you can definitely reach anywhere.
100%. Much further. You can go, with a team than alone. I mean, no one can do this job by themselves. It's just impossible. You really need a team to do it.
Imagine managing 66,000 students without help. Oh
No, I would not be signing up for that job.
Sorry, we have like numbers that are a thing, and it's kind of difficult to.
It's confusing.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, next question. How do you plan to stop bullying in school?
So I think that we talk about the mental health and well-being of our students. We talk about the health and safety of our students, right? These are things that we want to focus on as a board, and it is up to as a senior team, myself and the superintendents, we speak with school principals to make sure that they have all of these strategies in place, right? That if you create the right environment, make sure that it's inclusive, make sure that everyone feel like they belong, right? Make sure that we're being kind and caring, right? Creating those kinds of school communities, we reduce the bullying that happens in schools, right? And so, because bullying is happening at the student level, right? And it's among you and your peers where it's taking place. So it's how do we encourage you and create the right conditions so that you can be caring and kind and compassionate towards each other, right? So that it starts there. But it's something that we're always aware of, and we want to make sure that we continue to ask students and provide them with strategies of how to be kind and caring towards each student, right? So that nobody feels like they are excluded and they don't belong, because that's not what we want.
Okay, so on the bright side of the eliminating bullying, not a whole lot of it goes on at our school.
Yes.
That's great. Because sometimes, and I've been to some schools that I've been to so far, or that I've visited, the students have said to me, "Oh, this is such a kind." I remember one girl saying to me, "This is such a kind, caring community." So when a student tells you that, you know that they're taking care of each other, right? And so it's how do you, because things will happen. Are you going to be a bystander? Because have you heard this term bystander?
Yeah, you're watching and you're not doing anything.
That's right. So when you see something, then it's up to you to say something, to intervene, to get an adult to intervene and to say this behavior is unacceptable, right? So don't turn a blind eye to it when you see it.
Mm-hmm. Also, quite a few schools actually do this. They're like anti-bullying. Like there's not any more books of COVID, but there are anti-bullying assemblies In our school, we had one once, and basically they did like a kind of like a play thing where there were some students, and then there were these three kids picking on one smaller kid. So usually, I actually have some people are sometimes mean to me at my school. So and most people who bully me, they're like a year older than you, and they're bigger and taller than you. So yeah.
Yeah, no, a lot of schools will bring in, whether it's a dramatic production or a theater production to sort of help demonstrate, some of the things that happen, but they will always include messages of how to do the right thing, right? And so I think that's what we learned from some of those productions that happen on anti-bullying, and a lot of schools do that. That's part of what we would call the strategies to reduce the bullying in schools, to the question that you asked earlier.
Yeah.
Great. That seems like a great way to stop bullying.
So, the COVID-19 pandemic has been it's not as much of a danger anymore. But if you were the head of HDSB during COVID, what would you have done differently?
Well, we still have COVID and it's still with us. So we still need to be cautious. We still need to be responsible. We still need to listen to or the advice from public health and make sure that we're doing all the right things. So as a director and as a senior team, and following the advice of our public health team, we're making sure that students wear masks, although we make sure that they have regular breaks. We make sure that physical distance where possible. We make sure that students are washing their hands on a regular basis, right? So we're practicing all of these safety protocols to keep students as safe as possible. Because one of the things that I want to see is to keep our schools open. Are you guys in person or online?
In
person.
Definitely. I hate online school.
You prefer in person?
Way more.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I'm hearing that from a lot of students, Arjun, that they love being in person. And so I think part of my job is to make sure that we're taking all of these safety protocols to make sure that we can keep our schools open, because nobody wants our schools to shut down and to go back to the way we were in 2020. Yeah, I think that was terrible. So it also impacted, I would say, the mental health and well-being of a lot of students. And
Uh-huh.
so we want schools to stay open. And so we are still leading through that, Annika. We are still leading through the COVID-19, and we're not out of the woods yet. And so we still need to continue our safety practices, and hopefully things will continue to get better.
Okay, so another question related to COVID. I know there probably isn't a fixed date yet, but is there a date when online school won't exist and we can get rid of the protocols?
Wow, I don't know. That's a big question. I guess we have to wait and see. We have to. I know that the vaccination programs that are out there are working, and we see numbers going down. But we're going to have to wait and see. It might be with us for a while, and we are going to have to learn how to manage it and live through it responsibly. But yeah, I think we all would celebrate if it was all behind us.
Great. How do you plan to make HDSB students reach their highest potential?
So that's a great question, Arjun. I mean, we need to make sure that every single student in the HDSB, that's one of our key commitment, learning and achievement, right? And it is, how do we as the adults make sure we're providing the right supports, creating the best classroom environments, making sure that our teachers have all of the learning opportunities they need so that they can provide the greatest instructions for students so that they can succeed to their highest potential. Because I think that's ultimately what school is about, to give students the opportunities and the supports and the conditions and the classroom conditions so that they can become their best selves, right? And so that's what we are hoping to do. So through those strategies, I think we're going to get there. We already do a great job of it, but I think we can always get better because we don't want to become complacent and think that we have no work to do, right? because that's when things start to go not as well for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Ennis, I know that you're really short on time, but we have a really traditional question we'd like to ask you.
Please go ahead.
So, if you could relate to one like move character from a movie or a book or anything, who would it be?
Oh wow, you just sprang that on me like that. Wow, one character from a movie or a book. Hmm, I'm thinking. Wow, let me see. Which one would you be? Tell me.
I know. Iron Man. Iron Man is the best.
Really?
Yes, I love Iron Man. Iron Man's my favorite Avenger.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know what? I mean, I think about the character, someone that I really admire a lot, um, you know, is Dr. Martin Luther King, right? And he is someone. Why I admire him so much is because he was all about peace in our world, equality in our world, right? For everyone on the planet, right? That
Yes.
he believed that we were all equal human beings and we should be treated as such. And so I would want to be that person that continues that message that we are all one human beings. Like no one is better than anyone else and no one is less than anyone else. We're all equal, and let's start treating each other that way.
Yes. And also, I believe that Martin King Luther, Luther King, I think, he was also black. So
He was.
that basically proves that
Anyone
everyone is equal, and anyone can do anything.
Yeah. We certainly believe that. I certainly believe that all kids, regardless of their color, religion, or background, whatever diversity they bring to the table, that they're all brilliant, and that they all have the ability to do great things if given the right support and given the right opportunities, given the right conditions, I think, and given the right instructions. I believe it with all my heart.
And whatever diversity they bring to the table, they're free to represent themselves.
100%. I couldn't have said it better.
So I think we're out of time, but thank you so much for agreeing to interview us. We really appreciate it. Oh wait, no. We thank you for letting us interview you. My bad.
Thank you so much.
It's been my pleasure, Annika. It's been my pleasure, Arjun. I hope to see you guys when I visit your school. And please make sure you say hello to me when you see me.
Yes, please.
We will.
We definitely will. Wait, maybe you can send us the date of when you're coming.
Oh, that's even better. I think I might do that.
Okay.
All right. My pleasure. Have a great evening, guys.
You too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.